A lot of golfers that I see struggle with early extension. This is where your pelvis starts to prematurely thrust forward this way. And this can happen in the backswing as we're trying to load, or it can happen in the downswing. Let's talk about the backswing. So let's say you're a right-handed golfer and you're early extending your backswing, which means instead of loading deep into this hip, you're kind of standing up and pushing that pelvis forward. Sometimes the reason that can happen is because we don't have hip rotation on this side. Internal rotation or inwards motion of this hip is required in order to be able to sit back and load into this. Now, there's lots of different exercises that you can do for hip internal rotation, but sometimes what happens is someone's joint may be the limiting factor versus just being tight around the muscles in hip rotation. So especially if you're someone that turns into this and you feel almost like a block in your groin area here, you may be someone that has a joint restriction. It still could be muscle or it could be a mixture of both, but I want to talk about how do you address the joint today. One of the ways I like to address the joint is if I take a thick band like this and I pull it nice and high up here. If I step away from this band, it causes a decompression type effect of the joint. So this may allow me to turn into that hip internal rotation without as much of the pinching. So I like to do an exercise where I attach a thick band like this, and then I turn into rotation inwards. So I step away till I get some tension, and then I turn into this internal rotation, back and forth. Now I may repeat this 10 to 20 times, and then a lot of times for people, this improves their hip internal rotation quite a bit. However, I don't stop there. This is a great exercise, but a lot of times if you give your hip motion, but you don't give it strength and stability, it's still hard to keep that motion and it's hard to use that motion. So another exercise I like to do is I like to take a cable machine or a band, and what I like to do is I like to have this position where I'm holding onto the cable here. I like to step my left leg backwards and this right leg forward, and I like to let the cable machine, in this case, pull me into internal rotation. And what should happen is I should feel some work coming out of this glute, and then using this right leg and right glute, I pull myself back into this position here, and then I let this pull me into this, and then back. And as I do this, I'm making the muscles fire and contract so I can use that new hip motion. So this is a great way to start improving the hip rotation with the banded mobilization for that hip, then some strengthening for that hip, so you can start working on improving your early extension, get you playing better golf.